Hello and welcome to this installment of videos for Bio 153. In this video, we're going to talk about carbon dioxide transport. Okay, so we've been talking about how gases get carried in the blood. We just finished talking about oxygen and how it is transported in the blood. Now we're going to move on and talk about carbon dioxide and how it is transported in the blood. So carbon dioxide is transported in the blood in three ways, okay? First, about 7% of the carbon dioxide in our blood is carried as dissolved gas in the plasma. About 23% of the carbon dioxide in our blood is carried bound to hemoglobin. And then most of the carbon dioxide carried in our blood is carried in the form of bicarbonate ion. Okay, so let's take a look at these one at a time. All right, so first thing, again, remember about 7% of our carbon dioxide in our blood is carried in the plasma. I just want to remind you that carbon dioxide has a much higher solubility in water and therefore in plasma than oxygen does, which means that we can carry a good amount of carbon dioxide in our plasma. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. Secondly, our second way of carrying carrying carbon dioxide in the blood is bound to hemoglobin. So that is described by this chemical equation here. So we combine carbon dioxide and hemoglobin to give us this molecule here, which we call carbaminohemoglobin. Okay. Remember that hemoglobin is in the red blood cells. Therefore, this happens in the red blood cells. Okay. I also want to remind you of this curve here, right? So remember, we took a look at this curve, which describes the binding of hemoglobin to oxygen, okay? I want you to take a look at this and think about, try to remember, well, you don't even have to remember, you can just look at the slide, what happens to hemoglobin oxygen binding as carbon dioxide concentration increases. So take a moment to think about that or look at the slide. Okay, so hopefully not too difficult to figure out from this slide that as we increase carbon dioxide concentration or partial pressure, okay, we're going to look at this green curve right here. The curve for hemoglobin oxygen saturation gets shifted to the right. What does that mean? That means that hemoglobin is going to dissociate from oxygen more easily, which is very convenient if you are carbon dioxide, because then that means that you're going to free up those sites for binding carbon dioxide to hemoglobin. Okay, so that comes in really, that works out really well, right? So usually in areas of the body where we have a high CO2, we have a lower O2. So we're going to favor the binding of carbon dioxide to hemoglobin over the binding of oxygen to hemoglobin. So hemoglobin's just kind of like meeting what are the needs in the various parts of the body.